Iran holds runoff presidential vote pitting hardline former negotiator Said Jalili against reformist lawmaker Mesut Pezeshkian.
Days after assuming the European Council presidency, Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán sparks anger in Brussels for a surprise trip to Moscow.
The Labour Party have won the UK general election and will form government. Preliminary overnight results show that Labour reached a majority in Parliament with a thumping 326 seats. Party leader Sir Keir Starmer told supporters in London that Labour won the mandate to relight the country's fire.
We did it! You campaigned for it, you fought for it, you voted for it, and now it has arrived. Change begins now.
Conservative Party leader and outgoing Prime Minister Rishi Sunak admitted defeat in a concession speech in his Richmond electorate.
The British people have delivered a sobering verdict tonight. There is much to learn and reflect on, and I take responsibility for the loss.
On Thursday, voters across the UK decided that Labour will return to power after 14 years in opposition.
Now, Labour is the big winner of the night, but its percentage of the vote has not increased significantly in either Wales or England, but it's Scotland that's made the big difference, where Labour has made massive gains at the expense of the SNP, the Scottish National Party. But today, in London, it's a new dawn for British politics. We are expecting the King to formally appoint Sir Keir Starmer as the new Prime Minister, and for him to soon form his government and have his chance at bringing about the change that he's promised for the country. Marit Gwyn for Euronews in Westminster.
Iranians are voting today in a runoff election to replace the late President Ibrahim Raisi, killed in a helicopter crash last month. After years of economic struggle, mass protests and tensions, public apathy has become pervasive in the Islamic Republic. Voters face a choice between the hardline former nuclear negotiator Said Jalili and Mesut Pezeshkian, a heart surgeon and a longtime parliament member who has allied himself with moderates and reformists within Iran's Shiite theocracy. The initial round of voting on June 28 saw no candidate get over 50% of the vote, forcing the runoff. This was also the lowest turnout ever for an Iranian election. There have been calls for a boycott, including from imprisoned Nobel Peace Prize laureate Narji Mohammadi. Iran's 85-year-old Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has the final say on all matters of state. Presidents can bend the country's policies toward confrontation or negotiation with the West.
Significant sums of
Make Europe Great Again, borrowing a phrase from Donald Trump, is the slogan of Hungary's 6-month rotating presidency of the European Council. And just days into Hungary's presidency, and Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has drawn the ire of the EU after reports emerged he's taking an unscheduled visit to Putin in Russia. President of the European Council, Charles Michel, reminded Orbán he has no right to represent the EU in Moscow, tweeting, "The EU rotating presidency has no mandate to engage with Russia on behalf of the EU. No discussions about Ukraine can take place without Ukraine." Meanwhile, the government says its priorities for the EU as part of the presidency include a strong line of migration, enlargement, and it also has a strong role to play to ensure the smooth transition to a new College of Commissioners after the European Parliament elections. It also says defence is a priority, but Hungary is still blocking €6.6 billion of military support for Ukraine.
The Hungarian government took the decision that we provide wide-ranging support for Ukraine, including humanitarian one, but we do not provide direct or indirectly military support to Ukraine.
The Hungarian government says it promises to be an honest broker and work hard on the transition to the new College of Commissioners, despite the fact that Viktor Orbán, the Prime Minister, voted against Ursula von der Leyen for a second term as President of the European Commission. However, there is concern among some member states that the constant blocking by Hungary on issues regarding Ukraine, whether it's military, finance or the areas of enlargement, will still cause consternation. Shona Murray, Euronews, Budapest.
The new European tariffs on electric cars made in China are to officially come into effect on the 5th of July. A measure that could raise tensions between Brussels and Beijing. The new tariffs will go from 17.4 to 37.6%. After a 9-month investigation, the European Commission accuses Beijing of unfair competition by subsidizing production and lowering prices.
There are significant interests, industrial interests and employment interests in Europe, and our investigation has clearly shown that there is damage being done through these unfair practices by China to the interests of EU industry, those who produce electric vehicles in Europe.
The purpose of the measure is to protect European industry. It has the support of countries with an important car industry such as France and Italy, but not Germany.
Wir müssen unbedingt dafür sorgen, dass diese Ausgleichszölle noch abgewendet werden. Deswegen begrüßen wir, dass die EU-Kommission und China jetzt miteinander reden. Warum? Weil wir wollten ja ursprünglich mit dieser Untersuchung etwas für die Wettbewerbsfähigkeit tun. Da muss man einmal sagen, für die Wettbewerbsfähigkeit machen Zölle erstmal gar nichts. Davon kriegen wir keinen besseren Zugang zu Rohstoffen. Dadurch werden die Energiepreise bei uns auch nicht günstiger und die Bürokratie wird auch nicht weniger. Hier muss Brüssel die eigenen Hausaufgaben machen.
The tariffs will remain in place until a final decision is taken in 4 months, which EU member states could block if they mount a qualified majority against the proposal. In the meantime, it may become clear what retaliatory measures China will take.
An Italian man has been charged with voluntary manslaughter for allegedly beheading his brother in his bed. According to local media, 68-year-old Annibale Miarelli was beheaded by his brother Benito, who allegedly threw the severed head outside. The man later called the police himself and is now under arrest. The two brothers had been living together in their family apartment in southern Italy for the last 6 months. 24 police officers from 8 countries will spend the summer in the southern county of Split, Dalmatia to provide safety for tourists. The international patrols will also be on hand to inform and advise tourists and locals in the case of an emergency. The tourist police force was formed in Croatia 18 years ago. It's so far seen around 1,200 officers from 20 countries take part.
Die Niederlande haben eines der besten Pflegesysteme der Welt, doch das kostet. Die Niederlande geben mehr Geld für Pflege aus als andere Industriestaaten. Trotzdem fehlen Zehntausende Pflegekräfte. Die Gesellschaft steht vor riesigen Herausforderungen, denn die Zahl der Senioren wächst rasant.
Hey there, whiskey there. Yeah? Yeah.
We manage everything ourselves, so we do the client schedules, we decide how much time we spend with the clients, and it's not only the caring part but also a little bit of talking, and we have the time to do that because there's no overhead and that saves a lot of money.
We hebben in Nederland veel meer woonvormen nodig, veel meer variatie tussen thuis en het verpleeghuis in. Je kunt woningen splitsen, woningen delen, generaties met elkaar verbinden en veel meer collectieve woonvormen ontwikkelen.
In het vorige huis had ik minder contacten dan hier. Ik doe hier ook veel meer. Ik ben hier vrijwilligster. Ik doe veel meer voor de mensen dan in mijn vorige huis.
Oh my God! You are very terrible woman. Heb jij gewonnen? Ja. Wil je ook zeggen? Nee, ik
Remains of the Sonyachny Stadium from Kharkiv, damaged by Russian missiles, have found a new temporary home in Berlin. German Bundestag President Bärbel Bass and Ukrainian Ambassador Oleksiy Makeyev unveiled the interactive installation by the Ukrainian Association of Football, situated at the fan mile in front of the German Parliament building. The stand includes an interactive installation with the story of Sonyachny. Using virtual reality, it's possible to experience the stadium in real time, seeing its current state.
Ein Beispiel hier aus Kharkiv, wo vor 12 Jahren die deutsche Nationalmannschaft trainiert hat, als Polen und die Ukraine zusammen die Europameisterschaft ausgerichtet haben und tolle Gastgeber waren.
Bass highlighted that the joy of the Euros coexists with the suffering from Russia's war on Ukraine.
12 Jahre später, mehr als 500 Sportstätten zerstört. Und ich bin froh, dass der Kanzler, aber auch wir im Parlament gesagt haben, wir wollen die Ukraine beim Wiederaufbau unterstützen. Es gab eine große Wiederaufbaukonferenz und dazu gehört natürlich auch der Sport. Der ist so wichtig für den Zusammenhalt und auch für die Lebensfreude.
The damaged tribune was first displayed in Munich, where the Ukrainian team has played their first match at this year's Euros against Romania. The team has since been knocked out of the tournament. Kharkiv was one of the 4 Ukrainian host cities for the Euros in 2012. In 2022, the stadium was destroyed by Russian attacks. So far, 500 sports facilities in Ukraine, including 77 football stadiums, have been damaged or destroyed by Russian bomb and missile attacks.